Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Seattle Stitcher. My name is Megan. You can find me on Instagram as The Seattle Stitcher, or you can email me at theseattlestitcher@gmail.com. As I say, you are all very, very welcome here. So today's episode is actually a floss tube extra, and this is going to be just a question and answer. I have never done like a full introduction video. Essentially, you would have had to just watch my videos to kind of get to know me over this past few years, but I've got my papers and I've got some questions, and let's just dive right in. First, my husband asks, why are you so beautiful? And to that I will say, probably my mother. Next one. What's the best starting point for a pattern? Okay, personal preference, I'm a top left-hand corner starter. Why? No idea. No idea. I don't even know why I decided that was where I was going to start. I think it's because just naturally when you're reading a textbook or you're reading a book or whatever, you know, you start at that upper corner and you read on over in your rows. And so I guess that's just what was natural for me. But I do know a lot of people, especially if you're someone who wants to be more like conservative with your margins, say you only give yourself a 1-inch margin around your entire piece, start in the center. Why not? You just fold the piece in half, and then fold it in half again. Got your little corner there, put a little pin in there or something, even your needle, just to mark that that's the center. Unfold it, start the stitch. And so I start upper left-hand corner. I usually have plenty of margin with my fabrics because I've got a good stash of it by now after the several, years that I've been stitching. And so I don't tend to be too crazy with being conservative with fabric, but maybe I should be better about it. I don't know. Next question. Do you think your kids will knit or stitch when old enough to try? The true thread, I am not sure. I'm not sure, girl. I think that Amira, she shows some interest occasionally, but currently at 7 years old, she doesn't really have the patience for it. So she tends to really want to sit down and stitch for a couple of minutes and then she's over it. Actually, one of my kind viewers, I don't know if you're watching or if you even want me to mention your name, but she actually sent Amira a project bag and a cute little pattern, and Amira still does have that. So she's got her own little craft supplies to crochet, or not crochet, to cross stitch. But I do know how to crochet. I haven't done it in years and years, but I do know how. And obviously I still knit, but Amira's never really drawn interest in knitting. She honestly doesn't really seem interested in me knitting her things at the moment, so I don't, because I don't want to knit her something and then it not be used, because that's a lot of time, and she does have quite a few keepsakes from when she was a baby that I knit for her, so I do keep those, but I'm really not sure. I will be very curious to see what Amira ends up growing up to be like. Right now, she's very much she likes PE, she loves swimming, she loves sports. She really wants to play football, actually, but I don't know. I mean, if she wants to do it, I'm gonna let her do it. That's the kind of parent I am, within reason, of course. But when it comes to sports, if she tells me she's interested in something, she wants to do it, then I'm gonna let her do it. But right now, less crafts, more art. She loves to draw. She's really into that right now, which is actually, I guess, perfect timing to say thank you so much to the sponsor of today's video, which is Craftsy. Craftsy is an online community for creative, like-minded makers where members can find endless inspiration, advance their skills, and discover their new favorite hobbies. And this has been not only fun for myself, but for my daughter, because she particularly does love to draw. And there is just so much that you can do with Craftsy. There is knitting, there's crochet, there's cross stitch, there's beading, there's sewing, there's cooking, there's recipes. That's another thing that Amira is really interested in. So I'm not sure if she's going to be interested in necessarily cross stitch, but she has been loving that. And it's been really nice because I am actually moving, and because we're moving, we're buying a house. I have been just popping stuff in on my earbuds to listen to as I go through stuff in the apartment here and kind of clear out, because I wanted to get rid of a bunch of stuff before we move. But I'll talk more about that in the future, hopefully. But yeah, thank you so much to Craftsy for, just creating a space for creative makers like you and I. I've been really loving it. I personally myself also enjoy just, like I said, listening to stuff because I like thinking about the opportunities that I might have in our new home, as we have made an offer, and with over 2,000 classes in more than 20 creative categories, I feel like there's always something new for me to learn. And it's just an endless opportunity for me. I pop something on, whether it's something that I think I'm interested in or something I know I'm interested in, just because I know, you know, wherever we move to is going to be a bigger space. I'll actually have my own craft room, and that's going to expand, you know, this areas that I have to do crafts in, as well as like what I could have opportunity to do. So I'm really interested in looking more into like quilting and sewing stuff. I've never been really a lover of sewing. So yeah, thank you so much to Craftsy, and I hope you guys check it out. Actually, the first thousands of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for just $1.49. And that is for new members. So if you are new to Craftsy, you can get your first year for $1.49. So check it out. The next question, does anyone else in your family cross stitch? So actually, my aunt Joanne, shout out to you if you're watching, love you so much, she cross stitches. She has been cross stitching for, I think, quite a long time. She's got a whole room in her house that's like floor to ceiling just filled with cross stitch supplies. It's amazing. And she's actually who taught me how to cross stitch. So she's the real OG. Yeah, she's my aunt. She's married to my uncle, my mom's brother. What's your all-time favorite cross stitch? You know, Tamara, I believe that is your name. I am not sure. Maybe I haven't stitched it yet. I think of everything I have stitched. Ooh, that's hard. That is hard. You know what? I actually really, really love Woodfield House. It was a handmade by Sarah W. stitch along for her birthday, which she just actually announced her other birthday, Sal, here. And I don't know, something about it, that red house, it really, really spoke to me, and it definitely made me realize I am more of a sampler stitcher than I am even a Quaker stitcher. So I really, really, I love that piece. I love it. So I think that that is, for now, my all-time favorite. Next question. I'd love to see more Dimensions Real Liz, the Lenart kits you work on. I think it's Lenart. Lenarte? I don't know. I don't have one of those kits. But, Lineman's Wife. I definitely will work on them more. I know I had all this gung-ho about the kits, guys. I don't know what happened. I think it's because I finished so much stuff and I really got this aesthetic, right? You guys kind of know me for this aesthetic now. And I feel like the kits don't fit in it, even though I love them. So I don't know, Lineman's Wife. I'm using your guys' usernames. I hope you're okay with that. But I think I will work on them more. It's just a matter of when I have the time. Currently, right now, not much stitching happening. I'm not gonna lie. I've been really, really getting into the cleaning. As you can see from my disheveled appearance, I've just been cleaning every single day. I mean, I clean every day regardless, but this has been like deep cleaning, going into the medicine cabinets, going underneath the kitchen sink, going underneath the bathroom sinks, like really, really, really getting rid of stuff because I don't want to pack a bunch of stuff. I don't want to pack a bunch of stuff that I don't have to, you know? I don't want to do that. It's like twice the work, girl. No, thank you. Next one. Miss Lisa, describe your stitching in one word. This is gonna sound weird, but I'm gonna say selfish, and I mean that in a good way. I feel like after motherhood, so before I was a mother, I was really into fitness, much like my husband, who's a bodybuilder, and that is his main passion, right? His main hobby, bodybuilding. After having children, I really kind of lost that part of myself, and that's totally on me, you know? I could choose to spend my time going to the gym, but it kind of got harder with the kids' schedules, and even when it was just my daughter, and then between like balancing her school schedule and work and all of that, it got really hard for me to find the time to spend an hour and a half, an hour every day inside the gym when there was no kids club hours that worked with my actual work day hours, plus the household thing. It just, I felt like who I thought I was, I lost in a lot of ways. And I really loved knitting. I really loved crocheting. And I did that for myself, but then like eventually it turned into selling those items, which is great, right? It's awesome. It's an amazing opportunity that people loved what I was making enough to even think about purchasing from me. That is truly such a gift to be trusted like that. It's just that then it doesn't become something for you. And I felt like I was losing who I was after having my daughter, and I feel like stitching as a mother is one thing that I do that is just for Megan. Not for Megan the wife, Megan the mom, Megan the daughter, Megan the best friend. It's just for me. I don't stitch for other people. I don't offer to stitch for other people. I don't take on projects for others. I don't do commissions for it. I just stitch for me. It is the one thing that I have that I can do in my own home, so I don't have to go out, figure out kids club hours at the gym, drop the kids off, load them up in the car, do X, Y, Z. I can sit on my couch at home in my safe space, and I can just do something for Megan. So my one word is selfish, and I mean that in the best way possible, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to do something for yourself. Don't ever feel guilty for taking time to do something that brings you joy, because everybody deserves to have joy in their life. Okay, Lori the flying cross stitcher. How did you learn to cross stitch, and what was your very first piece you stitched? Well, Lori, as I mentioned, my aunt Joanne, she's actually the one who taught me how to cross stitch. It was Christmas of 2021, I think so. And I was at my parents' house for Christmas, and my aunt had shown up, and I had mentioned that I wanted to learn to cross stitch, I think on Facebook. Like, I posted on Facebook, like, oh my God, look at how cute this is. I would love to learn how to do this. And she commented and was like, I've been cross stitching like my whole life, girl. What are you doing? Like, I'll teach you. And so she brought over like a little kit that had like a ribbon, and I don't even remember what it was. And then she gave me a perforated paper and then taught me just how to do a basic stitch. So I did like 3 or 4 basic stitches, like little X's on perforated paper. And then I went home and I spent a bunch of money on 1, 2, 3 stitch. That was my introduction to cross stitch. And then I pretty much didn't touch it and didn't stitch anything until the following year, which was like 2022 or 2021. I can't remember. But I think I've been stitching 3 or 4 years now, right? But essentially in that time, that's when I picked up Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers, and I have since UFO'd that project. I just don't think it's my style any longer, as my style has definitely grown and changed, as you guys have definitely watched if you've been here from the beginning. But that was my very first ever cross stitch. I got like 3 pages in, I want to say, and then I just gave up. I started actually stitching other things because I started a floss tube right away, and I kind of just started expanding. I actually don't remember the very first thing that I stitched though. I don't even remember my very first finish. I want to say it might have been this hoop finish that I did for my sister, which I don't even know if she ever got it in the mail. She lives all the way in Arkansas. So. But I did make myself a version of it. It's actually right here. And I will be doing a wall tour next, actually, hopefully today while Malachi's napping, because I'm going to pack up all this stuff. So I'm going to pull it off the wall and show you guys as I do. But I don't even remember the designer behind this kit. It was really nice kit though, nice pattern. If I can find it, I'll pop it on the screen. But I believe that is my very first cross stitch finish, and it's just a kind of vintagey floral piece. I got a standard like 5x7 frame for it, and I just popped it in the frame. I did like it on a basic Ada, much like what the kit had in it, but the kit came with a hoop, like an oval wooden hoop situation. But yeah, I think that was my first finish. If not, I'll have to pop a picture on the screen of what my first finish was. Okay, the next one, Stitch in Books, which is actually kind of funny, is what's your favorite cross stitch you've finished? Which I think I might have already, yeah, your favorite cross stitch of all time. So yeah, I guess this one is more specific to finish and the other one is just cross stitch projects. I still think it's Woodfield House. I love the way that it looks. I don't know, I really like it. Link is my homeboy said, what's your favorite dinosaur? And, ooh, that's a tricky one. That is a tricky one. I'm gonna have to think about it. Give me a second. I think my favorite dinosaur is a pterodactyl. I just think they're interesting. And I've heard in like recent years, they've discovered that they actually had feathers. And for some reason, I love the idea of like a giant bird, you know, like we already like birds, you know, we're cross stitchers, but the idea of like a giant flying bird that's also a dinosaur, and we don't know what color these feathers were or anything, but it's just recent, I think archaeologists have found that they might have been feathered. And I like that. I'm gonna say a pterodactyl. Okay, so Sarah says, hi, any more thoughts on your Lowry stand now that you've had it a bit? Thank you so much. Okay, so my Lowry's right over there. I'm gonna say my son, he's crazy. My son Malachi, he is a 1.5 years old just about, and he gets in everything. He's a climber, he likes to pull on things, so I have had to put it away for quite some time. About 6 months now, I've just had to have it locked up and put away in a corner where he can't pull it down on himself, because that was my biggest thing. He kept on trying to pull it right down on him, and it doesn't have a really heavy base, so it can easily be pulled over by a little kid, a toddler. And so I haven't really gotten much of a chance to use it. In the new house, if everything goes through, I will have a craft room and I'll be able to use it a bit more. I will say though, I love it. Do I think it's worth the money? I don't know. I think that a lot of that is going to be so personal, because I think that it's one of those things where what's a lot of money to one person is not to another. What's a normal amount of money to one person is different to another. For me, I think it was worth it. I'm really glad my husband bought it for me. It was like a surprise gift that he got, because I had mentioned that I wanted one. And I do really like it. I think I'm gonna use it a lot more when I have a craft room and I'm able to kind of like close myself away and not have to like put it up and down all the time. But I do like it. It's nice. It is nice to have. Then my husband, because this was day 2, said, why are you so perfect? And the answer is because God made me that way. The Stitchy Veg, which she has a floss tube channel. I'll have to link her down below. If you could only stitch one designer, who would it be? This is a hard one. Oof, I don't know. Okay, I really, really love Brenda Gervais, which might be a surprise because I don't actually have a lot of her patterns. I just don't find them at any of my LNSs, like Acorns and Threads or Thread Needle Street, and there's not a huge selection on 123 Stitch either. So I don't know, I just don't find them a lot at like places that I shop. But I really do love her samplers. I think she has beautiful samplers and a really good smalls, like little tiny pillows. They're a little cutesy, but I like that sometimes. Or, I mean, of course, Blackbird Designs. I think that is probably the most purchased patterns I have is Blackbird Designs. I have quite a few now. And I think that's the most finishes I have too, actually, is Blackbird Designs. I love them. Slay. Let's see here. Advice on stitches. Neater stitches. This is Teaspoon of Talent. Hey girl. Advice on neater stitches. So I tend to do 36 to 40 count and 1/2. Right off the bat, that's gonna be the best bet, you know? 1 strand over 2 threads of linen, or 1 strand over 1 on Aida. You're gonna get the most even stitches with that, just because it's of course going to lay flat. Making sure that your hoop or your Q-snap, whatever apparatus you have to hold your thread. I forgot where I left off. My husband called me. Because we're in the midst of buying a house right now, we are on a lot of phone calls. But the neater stitches question from Teaspoon of Talent. Yeah, I really think that the 1 strand is where it's at. Your tension on whatever apparatus you're using to stitch, whether that's a Q-snap, a hoop, a Morgan hoop, Nurge hoop, one of the old school princess hoops, whatever it may be, getting really, really tight tension on your fabric is going to give you the best layout for your stitches, in my personal opinion. I think stitching in hand, it's pretty hard to get perfect stitches unless you are able to hold the fabric in a way that gives you really, really good tension. But I have a hard time doing that because my joints are not that great, and I've been struggling with that a lot since my son was born, so I prefer to use a hoop. And I love a Morgan hoop, so I prefer a 7-inch Morgan hoop. Shout out to Bridget, the museum stitcher. She totally put me onto those, and they are seriously the best. Like, you get such good tension and it stays pretty tight. And I don't really have too much of a problem getting the hoop mark out. I will use like a damp cloth and kind of press that on, and then let it dry a little bit, and then run my iron over it. And then I use Flatter, and Flatter is like a spray that helps, which Rebecca from Beck Stitches Everything, she told me about that, and I love it. It also smells great. I use their soak version for wool wash as well, and it's fabulous. But anyways, I choose to do higher count fabrics good tension on a hoop. The other option is there's a tool that is like a ring that sits on the top joint of your finger, and there's a needle that pokes out from it. This is something that the Thread Gremlins, Elizabeth from the Thread Gremlins, talks about in some of their previous floss tubes that helps you lay your stitches super flat and even. The other options, I guess, would be is like, you know, making sure your thread, you don't want to pull it too tight, but you know, you want it pretty. You don't want it to where it's straining the linen and you can really see every hole that you've poked through, but a good tension on your actual like pulling of your own thread. So I guess those would be my tips, is like get a good hoop, you know, try a Morgan hoop. I want to say they're like 13 bucks now on Amazon. Of course, that's US dollars, but they're getting up there in price, girl. They used to be cheaper. When do you use one thread versus two? 36 count? This is another question from Teaspoon of Talent. So for me, on 36 count, it depends. There's like Picture This Plus 36 count, which is a little bit of a plumper thread. Their linen's just, I don't know if it's the way it's dried, the dyeing process, whatever it may be. It's a little plumper. I love it. It's one of some of the first over-dyed fabric I started stitching on, so I'm pretty used to it. I would do 1/2 on that fabric specifically, but I think it's a toss-up for a lot of other dyers. There's, you know, Zweigart 36 count. You could totally do a 2/2 on that. I think it really depends on how you feel about the tightness. I think some patterns too, there's not much area where it's like a full coverage area. Like say you have a Quaker motif and there's like big sections where it's chunks of stitches that are right next to each other. It can be really hard to get 2/2 to lay flat on 36 count right next to each other in a big chunk. And it can start feeling very thick, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, but I think I tend to prefer for it to be a little bit more of a, I don't know, I don't want to call it dainty, but like a more primitive, fine looking stitching. And so because that's my personal preference right now, I tend to do 1/2 on 36 count, but it's really personal preference. I always tell people just try a little test stitch up in the corner, a little 10 by 10 box in the corner of your fabric. You can cut that right out, you know, frog it all out, but you can see if you even like that. Just a 10 by 10 square, because that'll really give you the best idea of, you know, do I like how bulky that is? And just looking at your pattern and seeing if in your pattern there's any areas that do have that full coverage stitching, because you might have like a sampler where there's not much full coverage areas, and so you might be like, okay, actually I'm okay with that. I want it to be thicker, more bold stitches. And I guess that's the thing too, is like, do you want your stitches to be bold or do you want them to be a little bit faint, you know? Really, it's really personal preference. For me, 1/2 on 36. That's just me. Bridget's Stitches, thank you so much. She just said, I just wanted to say thank you. You're amazing, and thank you for being here. Thank you so much for saying that. I really do appreciate it. You know, it's like crazy how much of a community I have been able to accumulate over my time here, and you guys just blow me away with your kindness every single time I film. It just, yeah, it's really a joy to be part of this community. So thank you for even being here and watching at all, and just your kindness in general. Silky Stitches, curious about your house hunting. Any plans for a dedicated craft room? Because I did mention in a YouTube video, or not YouTube, sorry, a story on Instagram that we are house hunting, and we did find a house. We put in an offer and they did accept our offer, and so now we're just doing some paperwork and getting the inspection. The house does have a craft room. So my husband is going to be building me like a full wall bookshelf, because he is very handy, and I'm super excited. I'm gonna have like all of this books into an actual like nice library, home library. I'll have an area for my recliner, my Lowry. I am so excited. I definitely will share that if that's something you guys are interested in seeing, like my husband building me this room. I mean, the room already exists, but he's gonna have to build me like the library in it and everything. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, or seeing me just picking out paint and all that to decorating the room, let me know. I will film it. Simply Stitching Ocala. I think I said that right. Obviously from the photos, your hubby is a bodybuilder. Just curious what his career is. My husband is a superintendent for a construction company. So essentially that is someone who like oversees the job sites and works with like the architect and all the people. He oversees all of them and watches them build stuff. But he was a carpenter for many, many years. And so he's very, very handy. He can, you know, like I was just talking about with my craft room, he's going to build me that full library wall. And he's just, I'm very lucky that he's able to do so much. Like he can build a deck, he can build a house from the floor up. He doesn't do residential. He works like big jobs where it's like those big slab build, massive buildings and stuff. But yeah, like warehouses and all that. But he likes it. Yeah, it's keeps him busy. Rosebud stitches. Gina, you need to start a floss tube so that I can harass you on more than one platform. This question is from one of my really good friends on Instagram. Her name is Gina. I'll link her Instagram down below. She has like a I was gonna say a floss tube Instagram. She has a cross stitch Instagram called Rosebud Stitches, and she said, "How are you so pretty? This is totally not Gina." And the answer is, I think again, just my mother. Her and her only. No, just kidding. I kind of look like a mix of my dad and mom. But anyways, I love you, Gina. You're the best. The other question I had is, what is my all-time favorite floss dyer? These are just questions that I've pulled over time from comments on YouTube, so I'm so sorry I don't have your guys' usernames. But all-time favorite floss dyer is probably Color and Cotton. You guys know I have a huge selection of their flosses. My husband bought me a large amount of them for Christmas because that is what I specifically asked for, and he's a good man and he buys what I tell him. I love Color and Cotton. Their flosses are great. You get 8 yard skeins, great customer service, great company to support. They have a brick and mortar store too, which, you know, I love to put support into smaller brick and mortar stores if I can. And yeah, I love them. I think they're great. Not a single complaint, not once. They're amazing. So Color and Cotton is definitely my favorite. Trying to see if there's any questions I missed. Favorite cross stitch tools. So like the things that I use the most, and I think oddly enough, the things that I use the most are binder rings, Peacemaker 28 count needles or Bowen 28 count needles, and my Morgan 7-inch hoop. Obviously I will use the Lowry a lot more when I am able to have a space where my son just can't get to it at all. But I think that those are things that I use like just every day in my cross stitch world. I mean, obviously there's linens and like the supplies you need to actually stitch, but when it comes to actual like extra things, I like having my flosses on a binder ring. I like having them on floss drops. It's like those are real things that I do actually use in the everyday cross stitch kind of thing that are not like, here's some linen you need, here's this you need, you know. I really enjoy Bowen needles. I really enjoy Peacemakers, but I know they're kind of harder to get your hands on because there was a whole thing with Peacemaker, and now I don't know if they still exist or not. I don't know. Do they? Are they rebranding? Because there was like a big lawsuit or something. I don't know. You're gonna have to look into it. I don't know. I'm not your resource for this. I don't know. This is all hearsay. Don't hold me to it. I don't know. I don't work for them. But yeah. I guess we'll see. But anyways, I think that is it for this video. If you guys have any more questions, you can always leave them down below and I can try to do another question and answer video down the road. But thank you so much for watching as always. And it always helps if you guys click like and subscribe or leave me a comment. YouTube does love to see that in the algorithm, so it'll push my videos out to more people who are interested in cross stitch and the floss tube community. But yeah, thanks for just sticking around with me, guys, and just getting to know me over these past few years. I've been doing the floss tube now for 3 years. I don't even know how it went. I don't know how it went by that fast. It's crazy. But anyways, yeah, thanks for the questions, everyone. It was a good time. And let me know if you have any more. But I'll catch you next time. Bye.